he connected with more shots through the box than he did in the wide in the open. As they strolled up A-ramp with no cover, misses those shots. But don't worry, through the boxes and an A side, no worries. I think FlipSid, that's going to tilt them surely. You can see they can afford to buy this round, but again, World Edit with the AWP, very passive, Jim. That's what you've been talking about. Not necessarily having the opportunity to get the drop on players himself. Blade, he will stand out mid, but really tabs the punish there. Not just by World Edit, but FlipSid in their total. If he didn't get that frag, Blade certainly would have, as he was caught off guard there. Seemingly pushing up mid on his own and pays the ultimate price with his life there. We do see Crystal retaliating with another nice shot there. Furious headshot onto Blade. The captain going down, and he certainly would be most disappointed, but I think appreciative of the fact that that was a nice shot from Crystal. I think Blade would certainly recognise that. But in any case, these are these breakdown situations which have tended to favour Team Penta. World Edit, they're not able to convert us. They do move their way up B short. The smoke in mid-con allows them, or not quite that freedom to pick short. On second thoughts, there was no smoke there. But World Edit doing a good job of getting that frag and making sure he was still covered at the same time. You can see Bonded here putting some pressure on the A ramp, but really the bomb in no man's land still, so it's still going to be a little bit of time before they do commit onto a side. And I think Penta, just like us, were a little bit scratched or scratching their head, a little bit confused as to where the action might be going down.
World Edit gets himself into an interesting position here because Tarston's aware that he might actually be in the window, doesn't want to step, does actually take the step in the end, and it is the step of death. World Edit finally gets one up on the opponents there, but Crystal still has that AWP, and Mike S is actually burning alive here. He just gets out of that Molotov, 2 HP to spare, and tell you what, he timed that to absolute perfection. You really can't afford to sit in a Molotov for that long, but given the HPs, given the fact that they've both got very expensive inventories in the AWPs, they are going to save here.
Yeah, good decision. I also will point out that I think FlipSid are really blessed in the sense that they do have 2 strong AWPers on the team, like we said. Both Mike S obviously has been going ham, and Crystal, the man of the hour, he made those nice 6 shots through the box in the previous round. And I think that adds a lot of versatility to your team when you've got 2 players who are more than capable of carrying that expensive sniper rifle and putting it to good use, and you can see at the moment, I think on a map like Mirage, Jim, as you pointed out, having not just 1 AWP, but 2 in this instance, they're able to get those early frags. But FlipSid in that round, doing a good job of negotiating those AWPs and finding their way into the A-bomb site.
They have, and of course, they will be able to buy into this round, Penta, as a result of saving some expensive inventory, but of course, their money situation is still quite good overall. They have put a lot into this round, so if another FlipSid tactics round does come out, they potentially might find themselves on the back of some economic woes, but again, just opting for that slow, methodical mid-control as FlipSid make their way through. And Penta at the moment, quite content to let them have it as Crystal opens things up onto Bonding, catching him out there, and they are going to hit this A site. In fact, the 2 members, Blade, is caught in that shutter box area. He does get taken down by Tarston. His teammate is unable to trade him at all. That Molotov just segregating the 2 quite well as Mike S pushes his way out in the catwalk.
Yeah, the teaser separated here is really World Edit's forced to retreat from mid, trying to come back and help his teammate in the form of Shah. I'm not really sure what World Edit was achieving there. Surely he would have preferred to have that AWP in A trying to get those early frags. And as it was Crystal that opened things up, and really it now leaves Penta in a great position here in a 4-on-2. You can see both members of FlipSid have regrouped on T-ramp, but Tarston here, the superior positioning. I think once Crystal relates to him the fact that they are both on that A-ramp, potentially he should be able to catch them off guard in the side here. It's only a matter of time. You can't help but think 40 seconds left on the clock, but it will be lights out for Penta, for FlipSid, I should say, unless something drastically goes wrong and a few players turd furiously. But I think that's the official term, by the way. But we'll see what happens. We will see World Edit trying to initiate things. He actually does walk up that T-ramp, opting to try and catch someone off guard with that sniper rifle instead of telegraphing their attack with the utility grenades, but as expected, a frag and a little bit of turding. So we got the best of both worlds there, but in the end, the outcome's the same. Penta win the round, 8-3.
And Crystal through the box again. He's unstoppable through those A boxes. He's having an absolute field day with that AWP at the moment.
Of his 9 frags, at least 3 of which have come from an A box.
At least.
I used to do it at least because we haven't seen all 9, but that's a fair ratio, a 33%. But in any case, we can see FlipSid here. They are on an eco, so their money has been reset. That's the disadvantage of winning and losing rounds so frequently, particularly losing. I stress that one, but Mark, thank you very much, he says to himself as he rips Crystal's head off in mid, showing that I can take down that AWP, even if I don't have an AWP myself. But really, I think FlipSid now with 2 surviving members, position of both known, one taken down, the second follows suit shortly after. Things going as expected for Penta, but really running away from FlipSid at the moment, Jim. You can't help but feel and sense that that momentum is really the German team at the moment.
And Tabson just picking up the ace there as well. So he made it look so easy. Markelov, though, probably needed a time machine if he's going to try and recapture his 2009-2010 form. But at the moment, FlipSid Tactics are going to buy into this round as we see Blade actually teaming up with World Edit to both go Galil. So they're really trying to force the issue here. I'm not so certain I'm a fan of the Galil. It's not really a viable weapon, particularly over distance.
Yeah, I don't think they're a fan of it either, Jim, but I don't think they have a choice given the economy and given the round state at 9-3. You can see that Galil in hand for Blade actually pointed out he's in underpass at the moment, but again, a very slow and steady approach to this round from FlipSid, that early intent to take control of mid, and whilst that's been great in some instances, it's been those rounds in which Penta haven't contested it that FlipSid have almost had the most trouble because they really haven't been able to really then exploit that in the mid to late round and take those bomb sites if they're not getting those early frags. You can see Tabson very aggressive there pushing that A-ramp and catching Bondig off guard there. The man on the lurk, he was tasked with watching both Palace and A-ramp, and in the end, paid the ultimate price. It was all too much for him. Whilst Shara does get one, Tabson retaliates, and I think Zen will shortly follow suit, and he does. In-game leader has gone down. Things breaking down again for FlipSid. You can see that this site defense and this almost controlled aggression from Penta as they do push choke points on the CT, really working wonders for them. Crystal does fall, but not before he gets one himself. Spots out Markelov as well, so it's all to do here for the Ukrainian star. Gets a second. This is getting interesting now. Now he still has 79 points of health, recovers the bomb, 25 seconds left, and suspects, quite rightfully, that there is another member in checkers, but not to know where that second member is coming from. You can see Tabson going through short. They're trying to create another angle. Markelov gets that bomb planted just before the Molotov comes in. Good work there from Tabson. Catch him off guard in the side of the head. Great teamwork there from Penta and really nullifying the threat that was Markelov before things were out of hand.
Yeah, no, interesting for me was the fact that World Edit had the position, had the jump on Crystal there with the AWP, and still wasn't able to make that shot. So, again, FlipSid living and dying by the AWP of World Edit.
Look at the scoreboard at the moment, though. It just paints a horrible picture from a FlipSid perspective. I mean, the top fragger is World Edit with 7 kills, Shara with 2 frags, and I mean, the rest of the players somewhere in between. But really, if you're not making the frags, it's not a surprise to see the round score as it is in Penta's favour at the moment. Really, across the board, they're really demoralising and shutting down FlipSid. You can see that not able to afford a buy here from FlipSid in the second last round, so 10-3 potentially could be even worse for them this round as they're already taking a little bit of damage, just have pistols in hand, and really Penta, they're seemingly trying to push each other out the way to get these frags at the moment in a rush to try and beat another member up that scoreboard. It's Mike S who opens the exchange there. We do see Tabson spotting out World Edit, but Jim, what do you think FlipSid need to do in this instance to try and get back into this match? Because Mirage, whilst it was the Germans' choice, it was also a strong map historically for FlipSid.
At this stage, I honestly think there's not much they can do this half. Given that the next gun round, obviously they need to focus on that, the final round in the half. If they can get that, they then need to just turn their attention, I guess, onto their CT side. That's where they're really going to bring it home. And that's, for me, that's where World Edit is really going to come into his own because, as we said, his passive AWPing style is not working at the moment. Not against the 2 aggressive AWPs. He's coming up against 2 AWPers. That's the key point for me. The 2 AWPers from Penta, who are both very aggressive.
2 is better than 1 in some instances, but I mean, it's curious for me because we know that FlipSid themselves aren't renowned necessarily for their CT strength. I think that perhaps T-side is normally where their hopes rest, and certainly if that's the case, it's not working well for them. Crystal, again, he can't talk up how well he's doing at the moment. When he's not shooting people through boxes, he's getting opening frags to open up the round, so really doing a fantastic job at the moment here. Penta find themselves in a 5-on-4. You can see much of the same for FlipSid, whilst we're hypothesising about potentially what FlipSid can do to try to mix things up and get their round wins on the board. What we're seeing from them is still the same, and it's the same outcome in the sense that they're getting picked apart one by one. They don't have necessarily the individual talent to be able to win these 1v1s. They need to be using their teamwork to be overwhelming the CT defenses, but at the moment, it's they themselves that are getting overwhelmed. You can see 2 members there, soon to be 3, heading up towards that A mid-con, Shara, World Edit, and Markelov, perhaps now backing off going towards B. You can see they have blocked that vision of Tabson, so he'll be relying on the footsteps. He'll hear them running towards, at least 2 of them at least, running towards that vent room area. will communicate that, and both Zen and Mike S are well posed and well positioned there in B. They do take down that early frag. Mike S proving such a menace all half. 15-1 his score currently reads, but he's not done just yet. There's still 2 members left. He'd be keen to have both of those frags, but Tabson, he says so do I as he grabs one. Can't quite convert the second, but the beat will do it. Zen finishes it off 12-3 Penta. Incredible display of strength there from the German team. When they're playing with a substitute, they're the underdogs, but you wouldn't know it at the moment.
And Mike S, a single death in the half. And he had an AWP in his hands for, I dare say, the entirety of the game. Because in the early stages of that match...
around Jim.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Just to clarify.
But he is essentially, he's been instrumental in Penta's dominance. Obviously, now they need to turn around and they need to produce on the T side. So this is where we said that they may struggle because it requires a lot of communication, and communication is perhaps not their strength at the moment given their nationality. We're going live into this pistol.
That's right. You can see it's almost a similar sort of strategy from Penta coming out here as FlipSid employed themselves in the opening half here with the set A execute. You can see a few smoke grenades getting lobbed over that very, very low wall there at T-Ramp, which allows those well-positioned smokes to be carefully laid down to block off the vision of the CTs. You can see the Germans now bust out onto the A side, copying a similar treatment though that they themselves copped in that first half there as FlipSid find themselves on the stronger end of the 2 pistols winning out at this stage. 3-on-2 the score currently stands in this round. You can see Blade there spawning out both members of Team Penta towards those Tetris boxes, and he'll communicate that. You can see 2 members of Team FlipSid here positioned well at the CT ticket box, and 1 member, Mark Clough, in the mid-con. They're creating that second angle for them to contend with. And with the bomb down in the A site, they're left with no option but to try and take these duels. And you can see at the moment they're seemingly just trying to cover each other's backs, tasks, and taking those dual spots out. 1 member does a lot of damage there onto Shara, so if he's not too careful, that Ukrainian might find himself without a bit of a head without much longer. He's only got what is 23 points of health. He's flirting with Destiny. He's still picking out a needless death there as he does fall. So all of a sudden, this window of opportunity now open. You can see Markloff there as well. A little bit too risky for my liking as he's dancing with death there. Blade, he's had that opportunity, had a few empty shots, but hasn't done anything with it. And in the end, Tarson gets him as well. So all of a sudden, the Germans have turned this around. They now fake the bomb. You can see Markloff running into the site, faked out by that noise. And whilst there's 20 seconds left on the clock, he is trapped at the flame box, dancing around, spots one, takes him down. The bomb has dropped now, so 12 seconds. Tarson charges towards that side, does take him down, gets a triple for the round. Great job there, but Penta pulling that out of the bag with FlipSid, more importantly, throwing away their lives recklessly. Their Shara and Blade showing too much skin on the CT ramp, punished as a result. Horrible, horrible play there from FlipSid.
And here was I, potentially about to criticise that CT smoke from Penta, because that was absolutely woeful. It provided them with absolutely no cover at all and simply allowed FlipSid to set up some handy crossfires. So it did work out for them in the end, and that's where things really break down on this A site, is when those smokes fade and the T's get caught in those positions. Needlessly peeking is probably the way that I would best describe that pistol round for FlipSid, as we do see an A execute coming out from Penta. They are going to hit this site. Blade hitting that 1-bullet deagle headshot. Tabson sent packing. There's now Carson finds that reply, and he's going to hit this A site. Crystal at UMP does work to finally clear things out a little bit, but if they're not careful here, Bondi can actually do a lot of damage on this flank, as they are going to hit this A side. That bomb has not made its way to the site just yet. Those smokes are going to fade momentarily, and they're caught without a bomb plant.
I am waiting with anticipation to see what Bondi can produce here, as he's actually on the flank with a Nova in hand. So I'm just going to hold my breath here as what should be a moment of brilliance surely from Bondi will come in. Does get the first with the shotgun headshot onto Mike S, proving how deadly it can be. You can see there that medium range distance though that Zen did have from the Tetris boxes was ultimately too much for him to handle. And 3-on-1 here, all too much to do for Marklov. His position is known. Zen can hear those footsteps, can see him, can frag him. 14-3 the score currently reads, and from a FlipSid perspective, they actually really invested quite heavily into that round with pistols, armor, a Nova shotgun. It's going to leave them reeling now. It's not just this round they'll be forced to eco, but even on the first gun round, they're going to be strapped for cash.
They are going to be strapped for cash, and it's going to be difficult for them now because, as we said, they're 14-3 down. Their money situation does not favour them at all, and they are completely leaving this B side open. As we look at the overlay, we do see all the members of, most of the members streaming into this B site bar the flank. So they've made a good call here, and they're going to be able to get a free plant in the B site. And given that they don't really have the utility nor the weapons to do this, they're going to struggle to retake this site. Flip side, should I say. There's a few trades come out in the shop there, and more importantly, though, that bomb is ticking. They will try and save a few guns, I'd imagine, if they can get them. Perhaps do a little bit more damage as Blade does get caught peeking. Tarson just saying, thank you very much, I'll take the 2 frags and the round. Match point, 12 match points for FlipSid Tactics to defend. Do you think they're capable of doing it at this point?
I think I'm going to take the very, very safe and conservative approach of saying I think FlipSid are down and out in this match. Surely Penta will be able to close out one of the next 12 rounds. You can see that my guess at the moment is absolutely wrecking havoc. So's Tarson, so's Tabson. They're all just contributing on the scoreboard. And from a CT perspective, I think FlipSid are going to find it tough to have an answer to the German strength at this point. You can see that early mid-aggression coming out from Penta, almost replicating what FlipSid did themselves on the gun round. We'll see if they can have some more success because we all know how well that worked out for FlipSid. But now you can see Markloff, Blade and World Edit focusing their attention. And I like this little mid-con setup because you have Blade looking into a corner. No, he's not wall hacking. He's relying on World Edit standing just behind him to cover his back and try and sell an illusion that there's no one in that little hidey hole where Blade is, but we can see otherwise. My guess there in the underpass just spamming the wall momentarily, perhaps suspecting that Blade could have been there, but not to know he is hiding away. You can see the smokes and flashes getting laid down now. Really, Penta, they're not achieving much at the moment. I'm a little bit concerned for them this round. You can see that a minute left on the clock. They really haven't gained much map territory. A lot of spam coming in. Having said that, I'll hold that thought because Tabson has ripped the head off World Edit. Grabs the second as well. Great work there from the German player. Can he convert the third? Not quite. Shara, in the end, proves to be the victor. Walking away with 73 points of health, and Bondic chimes in with another one. Tarson, though, quick to take down that menace in the form of Shara, opening up that B side. You can see Micus does recover that bomb, trying to get into the B side. Markloff tagging him down, or at least trying to, but the B side has been secured. Tarson has cleared it out, but his teammate, Jim, he needs some support here.
Well, that's right. He needs to get that bomb into the site, ultimately. As good a position as Tarson has, he hasn't been able to get his teammate into that site with the bomb. Zen needed to be a little bit more active there with his alert, because he's sitting on the A side, not really providing much value to his teammates over in B just yet, as Bondic does get that bomb down for a second time in the round. And with 7 seconds remaining, Zen is best trying to save his gun here at the moment. Of course, that was the case. He wasn't able to win that round, and now another match point to defend for FlipSid Tactics. Their monetary situation isn't fantastic, with FAMASs across the board, no head armor, and a little bit of utility to burn.
That's right. You can see from a terrorist perspective, from my guess, I mean, we saw how strong he was with the AWP, but he'll have to make do with the Tech 9 or the Rec 9 perhaps in this instance. But from a CT perspective, despite winning that last round, they themselves had 3 for masses, so not the best equipped. I like this more from Penta. You can see them heading towards an A execute very early on, a lot more intent and purpose. And I think that when you've got so many rounds to play with, having those set executes to rely on is perhaps going to bode better for you in the short term instead of trying to make some magic happen there in mid. The smokes and flashes, even the Molotovs go raining over into that A site. So for a team that is struggling to find a core 5 at the moment, some good teamwork and execution there onto this A side, but can they now make those follow-up frags? You can see they've similarly slowed the pace. They've thrown all the nades, but you can see them walking in there, not giving away the footsteps, and I think that's almost going to be so confusing for FlipSid, who were ready for an attack, but seemingly was stalled in its progress. But Crystal, Des does get that first frag. Bondic follows it up though, but as it is, he himself is taken down and is Penta to find these frags. FlipSid are left reeling in a 3-on-2 situation here with it all to do. Shara and World Edit, they have their hopes of their team on their shoulders if they're to continue in this first map. World Edit has found one. We do see Shara, though, whiffing those shots, and in the end, he shoots his teammate instead. Oh, no. Lordy. That's not going to get it done. You miss your shots on the enemy and then shoot your teammate in the back. Well, it was probably in the end, Jim, a fitting way, I think, for FlipSid to lose, because I think it surmises perfectly how poor their effort was in that first map, to keep it real.
Yeah, look, they really struggled, FlipSid. And this is what we said, that inconsistency from them has really crept into their game. And that's essentially what has